Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Please allow me a moment to welcome you all to the 2023 first semester of the practical vocational training under the auspices of the LSSA UNISA Distance School for PVT. My name is Advocate MK Malema. I'm known in the school or in the LSSA as K. I am Advocate Malema, who started just being a Mr. Malema, an attorney of the High Court, a number of years before I became an advocate of the High Court. So that's a bit of my introduction. I propose that now that I have introduced myself and I've showed my face for all to see, ladies and gentlemen, my proposition is that I switch off the video so that there is no discord between the video and the accompanying audio. Thank you very much. I think, yeah, people have seen the face, and now what is left is to hear what comes from the person. Thank you very much. Allow me to do that. I've just said that I am the principal of the school. I am not working alone. I have my staff complement of 3 very able ladies. All of them are coordinators. Nowadays, they are called administrators of our PVT, Practical Vocational Training. Ladies and gentlemen, as late as this afternoon, I made an announcement on the e-leader platform that we'll be talking about in this address, to say that the word of welcome, some people would want to refer to it as orientation, will be available or open at 1800 hours this evening. I suspect I have lived up to the promise. Yeah, about the school, ladies and gentlemen, let me start. You guys, well, I'll be referring to, yeah, that way. Ladies and gentlemen, you have applied electronically. Your applications were electronically responded to. You paid for your registration electronically, and you notified us of your payments of 18,000 rands electronically. Your payments were electronically recorded, and your details, personal details in our registers, were also electronically captured. And as a result, everyone who has paid their full amount was awarded a student number, and by them being awarded student numbers, it means that they are on our basic means of communication with you as our students, the e-leader platform. I'll also be talking about the e-leader platform, ladies and gentlemen. So I have said that I have a group, or my administrators. There is Dorcas. I just call them by their surnames. Dorcas is the one that I suspect all of you have already interacted with in your application processes. There is Zuki Swan. There is also Phyllis. Also, Phyllis, I suspect you also have encountered this name or this voice before today, that is, in your bid to try and lay your hands on the hard copy training modules or manuals. These ladies, yes, they are the heartbeat of the school when it comes to the coordination or administration of your PVT. I've said our school has the name Distance School. Please don't add a long distance. We don't need that long thing. We are not a taxi, a long distance taxi or whatever. We are just a distance school for PVT. Why was this school initiated? At the beginning of what's this? This is a millennium, because it was started in the year 2004, 2005, somewhere there. That's the first time the school was initiated, as or being a collaboration between the University of South Africa, the one that a majority of you have graduated with their LLBs, and the Law Society of South Africa, the institution. That's why the name of our school is LSSA UNISA Distance School for PVT. Our training or our PVT, it's basically online, hence distance. I was telling a group of students who came to collect their material today that we are training you to become or to qualify for admission as legal practitioners whilst you are keeping your distance away from us. You attend in the comfort of either your home or your office at work. We do not have class or conventional classes which have to be attended by way of sitting in a lecture hall and with a lecturer presenting the training manual or module. No. The training under the LSSA UNISA Distance School is, number one, electronically based. We basing our training on electronics, access, and underline optimum access to the internet. Without access to the internet, without access to your smartphone or a laptop or a desktop, you are as good as not in the correct class as far as PVT is concerned, or PVT in our school is concerned. There will be lectures. I've said that we don't have conventional sit in class or sit in lecture room classes. There will be lectures conducted by way of MS Team. In the past or before COVID, we used to have what we refer to as video conferencing. And then I can readily credit our access to video conferencing to the UNISA, the UNISA, the campus, or the university, as we all know it. And that's basically was the lifeline of the collaboration between LSSA and the UNISA, the university. Hence, it was our name is collaborative, even in its nomenclature, LSSA UNISA Distance School. Yeah, our school, as I've said, or I should say, it's basically or was meant to cater for all of students, among whom I want to believe that I'm safe to count all of you, who were, for various reasons, not able to attend or for various reasons could not be accepted in our normal or conventional class attendance PVT schools. Remember, each and every province has a lead school, learning and development school, lead school, and such a school would basically have a day school or a night school. So we don't have that because we are not attendance. Those people who are able to attend day schools, they will be accepted or have been accepted, yes, to the lead day school, either in there's East London, there's Durban, there's Pietermaritzburg, there is Polokwane, there is all, as I'm saying, in all the provinces, I think except the Northern Cape, we would have all the lead schools having their schools there. Right. We on the other hand are a national school in the sense that somebody could be intent on registering for our school and they are in Cape Town, and another person would be in Richards Bay, another person would be in Mosina, for example, another person could be in Uppington, and so on and so on. Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, as I've just said, like all provinces and many from the Mpumalanga province and so on and so on. And those students, as you can say, they don't have the ability or the wherewithal to attend either the day school or the night school, because chiefly those schools, lead schools, have their numbers limited. We happen to enjoy a rather, comparatively speaking, wider mandate in terms of taking students. That is why our numbers are, as we speak, around 320. With the lead schools, their numbers are limited to the capacity of lecture halls. Normally it's 60. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I should start by saying the three ladies that I've indicated are the heartbeat of the administration of the training of administration of your PVT training, that is. Dorcas is in charge of registration. You have already observed that. And she will also be in charge of the release of your certificates of completion of the training course when that time comes. She's the go-to person when it comes to the certificates of completion. So she starts with registering you for the PVT and she concludes with issuing out of certificates of completion of the training program. You have already observed that when it comes to material distribution, Phyllis is the person to go to, and she is also responsible for a program that I'll be talking about, which is referred to as trial advocacy. And then she will also be responsible for coordinating or administering the process of registering all those students who, for one reason or the other, were not able to successfully complete the training program in their 6 months and have to re-register to basically pass any outstanding module or examination. So we call that process an appeal process. Such a student would be writing an examination or completing the module that they have not completed on what is referred to as an appeal process. So Phyllis is responsible for Trial advocacy number 1 will be talking about it, and she's also responsible for administration of the appeal processes for students who need to repeat either the writing of examination papers or assessments. Yeah. And then Zukiswa is our number 1 casework lady. Casework, I'll also be talking about casework. She also is responsible for the coordination or administration of the whole business of you writing examinations that you are going to write. We'll be talking about those examinations and the release of the results of your examinations for you to know whether you have made it or you still have to repeat a particular, rewrite a particular examination. So that is Zukiswa for you. So I've talked about the 3 ladies. Let's talk, ladies and gentlemen, about the modules of your training. The modules of your training are basically mainly 18 in number. And then you will see that the modules are listed wherever they are listed in your correspondence that you have received. They are listed as either online or online. There are those that are online, but that is ladies and gentlemen, an old-fashioned way of doing things. Because if you don't know, let me remind you that we lawyers, we are so much reluctant and slow to change or to adapt to a change. The following subjects were labeled online because at the time, the others which are not labeled online were indeed not online. But as I'm saying, after COVID, 99.99% of the content of what we do during your training, it's online. So the subjects which have always been online are insolvency practice, the first one. The second one is introduction to practice management. The third one is MMD, it's basically matrimonial matters and divorce, matrimonial law basically. The fourth one will be personal injury claims. And the fifth one will be information and communication technology for practice and associated aspects of cyber law. So you have heard me say out a very long name. So for the purposes of our training, just adopt the last 2 ways of this long name, cyber law, and just get to know that we're talking about cyber law, and then and the acronym is CL there. So the rest, it would rather be a very complicated acronym if everything would be said. Then from there we have other modules which really form the core of your training. You would expect that there will be alternative dispute resolution, there will be attorney's bookkeeping. It has since changed its name to legal practitioners bookkeeping, or legal practitioners accounts management. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's LPAM. Supposed to read legal practitioners accounts management. Then we'll have constitutional practice, we'll have criminal court practice, we'll have drafting of contracts, we'll have high court practice, we would have labor dispute resolutions, we would have legal costs. We'll also have a module on magistrate court practice. We would also have another module on professional legal ethics. We'll have another module on wills and estates, even though the acronym has a third letter, WET. It used to be wills, estates, and trusts, but now the emphasis is on wills and estates nowadays. Yeah, those would be the modules. And there will be other, what I refer to as introductory modules, like your e-commerce, numeracy skills, and finance. As I've talked about Dorcas and her being responsible for the issue of your completion certificates. When everything is done and dusted and you have completed answering all your assessments and you have passed all your examinations, you then would qualify for a certificate. A certificate that will say that you have satisfied the requirements for the program of the structured coursework. And that coursework comprises compulsory syllabus as set out below and is not less than 400 notional hours. So that is a statutory requirement. I'm saying statutory in the sense that this is the requirement in terms of the Legal Practice Act. We all know by now the Legal Practice Act. It is a statute that regulates, or that it has been legislated to regulate or to provide for the regulation of the conduct of legal practitioners. So yes, after your completion and passing of these examinations, completion of doing the assessments, attending the lectures on MS Teams, it's important. So when MS Team is organized, you are there, you take part actively during the lecture. Yeah, and then you pass your examinations, you pass the assessments that are set. Ladies and gentlemen, you will be considered as having satisfied the requirements for not less than 400 notional hours, and then you will be given the certificate of completion of the PVT. Our program, as I said, or I should have said, is semester-based, semester half of the year, first semester and second semester. We don't have a night school. We don't have other day schools. Other day schools also have an advantage or an honor to offer even a third part of the year, which would correctly be referred to as a trimester. Right. The question is, how is a student like yourself expected to take part in the training? Ladies and gentlemen, you will receive a schedule of lectures and examinations, a timetable in other words. But I can tell you, even ahead of you receiving that timetable, that if you look at your calendar, you'll see that the first lectures, MS Team-based lectures, no visiting any lecture hall. No, you are on your own, either at work or at your home. For that matter, all the lectures are set to start or begin at 17:30. This is to accommodate anybody who could be busy during the work as an employee, so during the day as an employee at some place of work. So you are given time to knock off and travel home, and hopefully at 17:30, 5:30 in the evening, you should be at home to log on the eLeader platform and then enjoy or take part in a set lecture. Just as an example, or just to be particular, on the 6th of February, next month, that is, to the 10th of February, you will be taking part in the first lecture of the semester on criminal court procedure. So I'm not going to tell who is going to offer that lecture on the MS Teams. Your timetable that you will soon have access to will inform you. So during the course of this week, ladies and gentlemen, please, please, please do not open any assessment and try to answer it because of the following. I want to start talking about assessments as first part of our training. Today, when the system opened, those of you who have been able to open on the tab on resources, tests and quizzes and resources. With resources, you will have access to your electronic version of the modules. That is for those who are still to receive their hard copies of the manuals. I'm saying this because I've seen there was a big hive of activity, people coming today to collect their manuals. Some have, unfortunately, for some reasons, changed their places of abode from the time they registered an address, for example, in Durban. Now they went at registration time. Today, they want to receive manuals from Johannesburg because in the interim, they have moved places of residence. For one, I'm just giving an example. That is one of the things which might cause some discomfort to some of you guys, but we are working on it. We have dedicated this week and even next week, as per mandate given us by the LSSA, that the first 2 weeks kindly remain open to attend to what I would basically refer to as teething problems of the start or at the start of the semester. So yes, 1 or 2 people would still have to be registered, either because ever since they paid their last amounts or their whole amount, if it was paid in one installment, they, for one reason or the other, did not communicate that achievement with our registrations or our finance department. And only last week, Friday or today, for example, we discover that this person has not yet been registered, even though they have paid before the 15th of December. See, so yeah, these 2 weeks opening granted us by the LSSA is to attend to such what we basically refer to as operating issues or challenges. But the system itself is going on. Please note that the first lecture starts on the 6th of February. In the meantime, those of you who have no issues, by all means, acquaint yourself with the process. As long as you know that there is no class attendance in the physical sense. You are at in the comfort of your house, in the comfort of your lecture, so of your office, and then there is a lecture announced or arranged or scheduled. As I'm saying, the example I'm giving is that the first one will be on the 6th of February, 2023. The assessments, ladies and gentlemen, there are two sets of assessment. There are those that we refer to as standalone assessments, and those that are referred to as MCQ based. And MCQ would stand for multiple choice questions. So the first category of assessments, the one that are referred to as standalone. We say they are standalone because those are what you see on the A-Leader platform when you log in. You see that you are able to see numeracy skills. They are all prefixed by the year. It will be for if you are talking about numeracy skills, it will be numeracy skills NS. Then it will have the semester, which is 2023 1, and then LSSA UNISA, something like that. Yeah. So there will be standalone in the sense that you only have to read what you have on on your system. There are no like hard copy manuals. So they stand on their own because you only have to go onto the system. They are not assisted by availability of hard copy manuals and stuff like that. Then it will be your NS numeracy skills. Then there will be this e-commerce one, and there will be this finance module, and then there will be what's this PIC, for example, like there will be MMD, and then yeah, introduction to practice management, yeah, and then ICT, not the one that I said, it's a long abbreviated thing, and so the introduction to ICT and information and communication technology. Sorry, man. Information and communication technology for practice and associated aspects of cyber law. The acronym is cyber law. So all those that I've mentioned and others that you'll verify that from your desktop are referred to as standalone. They have to be answered, and this is how you answer them. And it's very important. That's why I first gave the warning that please, before you hold the next MS team meeting, which I have already announced that it will be this week on Thursday, if I'm correct, the 25th. Please don't make an attempt. We know people are eager to do their work, but please wait for us when we come and talk about how exactly to answer your assessments, particularly the standalone assessments, because these are the assessments which must be answered, and there is a due date. The due date for answering standalone assessments is the 4th of June, 2023. And people might think that the 4th of June is a distant date away from today. I can tell you, since we have started today, if you are not aware, you might be caught up napping because of the involved or the detailed content of this course. You will see when you look at your timetable or schedule of activities, how congested the program is. I can tell you, initially this program was spread over a full 1 year. See, but with developments and evolution of the program itself, it was condensed into 6 months. And for your information, the day or night school attendance schools, they complete the same content of a PVT in less than 5 months. So as I'm saying, it is congested, and then so you are being trained, ladies and gentlemen, among other things, most importantly, time management. You have basically 20 or so modules. If you listen to if you remember my calculation of all the modules, 18 or so appear on your certificate, but there are those that I've mentioned, 3 of them. So if my numbering is correct, and you can always verify that, we are talking of about 20 to 21 modules or headings that you have to deal with in assessments, either as standalone assessments or multiple choice questions based assessments. I'm repeating myself. Standalone assessments have their due date as the 4th of June, whereas the MCQ based modules or assessments have their due date for submission as the 2nd of July. So I'm repeating myself. Get the timetable and draw your own program as to how you wanna answer this or do these assessments to an effective minimum pass of 50%. All those modules that must be passed with a minimum of 50%. Anything below 50% is unfortunately a fail. You get my point. So let's come to the examinations. I said assessments, all of them, there are those assessments for which there are dedicated MS Team lectures for them, like assessments on CCP. I'm just giving an example, PLE, which is professional legal ethics. CLP would be constitutional legal practice, constitutional law practice, in other words. MCP being magistrates court. You will have all the full names of all these acronyms that I'm throwing around. There are 3 examinations, ladies and gentlemen. The examinations are in the form of number 1, LPAM, formerly known as legal practitioners, was this attorneys bookkeeping. Now it is legal practitioners accounts management. Your timetable will show that the first exam, this will be the first examination. First of the 3 examinations, LPAM. It will be written, your timetable will say so, on the 25th of March. And it is basically a 2-hour or so examination. You see the duration of the examination on the paper itself and stuff like that. You have to obtain 50% therein, minimum. The threshold, pass threshold is 50%. There is also another examination referred to as wills. I've talked about wills, estates, and trusts, even though, as I said, the emphasis now is only on wills and estates. That examination also is preceded by lectures, which are spread over 5 days of a week. So there will be MS Team lectures on wills and estate. There will be MS Team lectures on LPAM. The third examination Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I was still busy and about to start talking about casework and trial advocacy when our newfound, and I say malady, struck. I'm talking about load shedding. So we back on the system. I'm back on the platform, thanks to the generator, which you probably are hearing here during this presentation. Yeah. I suspect I have covered the three examinations. And then I must talk about trial advocacy and, or rather, casework and trial advocacy. Casework, ladies and gentlemen, please understand it to be, I think, even in your university studies, you must have encountered the concept of moot court or moot court practices. Yeah. So understand casework to be along that line as a practice. It is the casework, much as it is also practice orientated, just like a trial advocacy. Unlike trial advocacy, casework is, like the rest of the modules, presented by MS Teams, which means on a distance basis. So there will be MS Team meetings scheduled for casework, in which a lecturer for a number of groups would conduct moot, as I'm saying, understand casework the same way you would understand moot court practices. So a practicing specialist or expert in their field would take you through the processes. Casework is basically about court processes. You'll be taken through skills that are required for a litigator, somebody who does their business in court, litigation, in other words. So you'll be taken through the steps of drafting primary documents, be they either summons or notice of motion, plea, or founding affidavit, stuff like that. Yeah, and then opposing affidavits, and stuff like that, ladies and gentlemen. And then there will be a day on which you will make individual presentations on various aspects of the litigation process. Either you are a plaintiff, you will plead your case, and then there will be somebody who will be the defendant, they will plead their defense, and there will be witnesses. Yeah, and there will be various types of witnesses, you know, all the stuff. By now you know that there's somebody that is called an expert witness, for example, an eyewitness, you know, or a report witness, and. So all those rules, there will be days, and the number of days is 10 working days. I warn you now. 10 working days will be set aside for you guys to have a feel of what it means to be either a Bereru or a Ferinel or a Dalimpofu or even a Malesela Tefu. We are not forgetting that there could also be others who want to be like Advocate Musholozi and company. So that is the practice-orientated, litigation-based skills training. You guys, I am, can I say, pleading to you, even at this early stage on the first day, that please put aside time and interest to go and involve yourself very actively and interestedly in that program. The powers that be have decided that because we are not a university, we are a skills training institution. You are assumed to have had enough of legal studies. So this training is not about legal studies, it's about skills transfer for the purposes of future legal practice by you guys. So that is casework for you. It's basically civil court procedures based. Now the question is, what is trial advocacy? Trial advocacy, number one, let's start. Or even before I come to trial advocacy, you have heard me when I talked about your completion certificate that it talks about 400 notional hours. As an addition to my plea that please interest yourself to involve yourself in casework. It is because a good percentage of this requisite statutory 400 notional hours are contributed to by your involvement, present and active involvement in casework. So if for one reason or the other you would want to either absent yourself from casework, or even during your presence during casework, you want to be a passenger when other people are the drivers, or exchange hands on the driving wheel of the casework itself by their active and interested involvement, you will not be meeting the requirements of the 400 notional hours as must be satisfied and appear to have been satisfied by you in your certificate of completion. So from that angle, involvement and active involvement in casework is mandatory from a statutory requirement point of view. Please create time to take your interest in this. As I'm saying, if a presenter or a trainer during casework will make a report that student number so and so, number one, were absent for any day of the 10 days, or even though they were present for any day or a number of days during their presence, they were as good as absent in terms of the level of their involvement or participation. That type of report empowers the school to write an adverse report against you to the LPC, which I can tell you will not hesitate to label you as not having satisfied the 400 notional hours requirement. Yeah, trial advocacy, it's basically criminal court processes based. I guess that's how it has been designed, because casework deals with civil processes, both in the Merge and the High Court. Criminal versus trial advocacy itself deals mainly with criminal court processes, starting from your charge sheet, you see, or your indictment in the High Court, and your bail applications, your hearings, see, and criminal court hearings, charge sheets, as I've said, your plea of guilty or of not guilty, trials within trials, the trial itself, the verdict, either guilty or not guilty. And if guilty, then the sentencing comes. Your heads of argument for in aggravation, if you are the state or appearing for the state, your heads of arguments in mitigation, if you are appearing for their defense, that is the accused person themselves, and. Like casework, there will be role play. Somebody will play the role of an accused person. Somebody will play the role of advocate so-and-so representing the state, or advocate so-and-so representing the accused person or persons, and then the whole process, I can tell you, is conducted with regard to trial advocacy. Is conducted under the BLA as an association of Black lawyers. Black Lawyers Association, through its Legal Education Center, has for years been historically presenting trial advocacy on behalf of the LSSA. So, ladies and gentlemen, with regard to trial advocacy, as I'm saying, whilst in casework we have 10 working days, trial advocacy is presented on a 3 working days basis. 3 days. That can be difficult for people to attend, as compared to, I would have a problem with somebody who's able to attend a casework, but find themselves unable to attend a 3-day trial advocacy. So trial advocacy, ladies and gentlemen, is offered, as I'm saying, by BLA. This is the distinguishing feature about trial advocacy. So far, you have heard me talking inclusively of casework as being conducted on a distance basis. I've talked of lectures being presented by MS Team virtually, in other ways. You've heard me talking of examinations being online. And then we'll be talking about how examinations are conducted online, not today, but on another day. Yeah, I am saying that with trial advocacy, the distinguishing feature is it is the only in the whole PVT picture under LSSA UNISA Distance School. Trial advocacy, I'm repeating, is the only contact-based, the only module of training in which students are expected to go to a particular either lecture hall or any hall, let me just say that, and sit and take part in the activities that will be taken there, being led by, as I said, specialists in the field of mainly criminal law and procedures. Your senior counsels, your judges are there, because judges who are affiliated to the BLA, they take serious pride in presenting trial advocacy as their historical baby, in quotes. So yes, trial advocacy will involve, for the first time, our students having to travel from the comfort of their home or office to a particular designated lecture hall or community hall or whatever, or hotel, whatever, and go and sit and to take part in trial advocacy over only 3 days. That is why at the end of the program, the certificate that is issued for attendance of trial advocacy is it's named Introduction to Trial Advocacy, something along those lines. It is only an introductory course, in other ways. But for those who might be having second thoughts about attending child advocacy because the certificate is only child or introductory in name. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here having been a witness to people's exclamation to say, I nearly did not attend child advocacy, and I must apologize for just having entertained that thought. Why? Because of how much I have learned after attending. See, so again, much as child advocacy, number one, it's not a requirement for your admission because the certificate is just introductory. Number one, logically, it does not make sense if people want to give it a miss for any flippant reasons, if ever I can say that. You have paid dearly for this training. We have gone all out of our way to expose you to as much wide skills acquisition as we can afford. And then we would not have an understanding, or it is for us, at least, we would not easily accept any excuses to give child advocacy a miss. Somebody has paid so dearly for this, and then they are informed in good time that in, I think, yes, somewhere in July, beginning of July, we will hold our child advocacy sessions, or even before then, because I think the last examination will be somewhere on 17th of June, and between that time and July, we'll juggle our schedule and see how far we can fit, or how possible can we fit in child advocacy, taking into account, ladies and gentlemen, that the dates for child advocacy are not determined by the school. They are determined by the BLA themselves. So yes, I've spoken about child advocacy as the last one. I've spoken about casework, and I've already spoken about examinations. Let's in conclusion just again reiterate the warning that please, between this week and next week, do not dare to try and answer any assessment, because you might think that yes, by its very size, numeracy skills is not much, and in its nature is basically introductory. I mean, you are being asked on adding 20 by 20, which will normally give you 40. You're being asked to divide 20 by 5, that should give you 4 at any given point in time. So yeah, there are modules that you might be tempted to say, I want to deal with this once, and once you pass, because once you pass a module, then it's behind your back, you are done with it. Those that are not able to pass have a second chance in the form of a supplementary assessment. So as you look at the system now, you only have main assessments. I have deliberately not put in supplementary assessments because it's not necessary. But even at this juncture, I'm saying, please don't touch a button that says you want to answer questions, because this is how question assessments are handled, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll be talking about this even in the future. Our assessments are time controlled. See, the secret is, or the advice is, you do not casually decide to answer any assessment because you think maybe e-commerce is the syllabus is small, or finance, the syllabus is small, or you feel that magistrate's court practice, the syllabus is small, you can handle it because you've got prior experience, for example. No. The advice is please, ladies and gentlemen, and I beg you, and I've said this in the e-leader notes, to say make sure and make double sure that before you open any module, you intend to pass, not to take chances. You are confident that you have read enough, you have prepared enough to pass this module. Because if you open a button, as I'm saying, when you open a module, you press and open the assessment module, you see that the modules are timed to be answered in 1 hour. These are all time automated modules. Once you open it, it gives you 1 hour to answer the questions and answer to an extent of a minimum pass of 50%. So if you open it and then casually or by mistake, well, the fact of the matter is it has calculated you as having opened the assessment because you have actually told the system that you are ready to answer this module. So accidental opening is not allowed. You open it by accident, you are assumed to have opened it by intent. That is the bottom line. So as I'm saying, please make sure that you decide which of the modules is. Please start with these ones, the ones that are basically what we refer to as introductory. That's myself speaking. Your e-commerce, your forms of business enterprises, your numeracy skills, you see, and what else? Yeah, all this basically start with this so-called standalone modules, because they are in terms of volume, comparatively speaking, their volumes are a bit lesser than the MCQ-based, multiple choice questions-based modules. So please sort out your numeracy skills, your e-commerces, your forms of business enterprises, your MMDs, and those that are labeled online. Because number one, their closing date is closer to today, being the 4th of June, than the MCQ based, whose deadline is a month later. So start with these ones and then make sure that the easier ones, yes, you get them out of the way. But as I'm saying, the principle is, even though you consider a module to be an easier module, make sure that you are prepared to score at least 50%. Because you don't do that, you open it by mistake, then and you close it, it gives you a 0. So the next time will be supplementary assessment on the same module. You get my point? I hope it is clear, ladies and gentlemen. So do not open assessment casually. It must be preceded by a conscious decision that on a particular day, I will be prepared to answer within 1 hour questions under a particular module over a period of 1 hour and pass. Because as I'm saying, anything less than 50 says you have to do a supplementary assessment. The same thing with multiple choice questions. With the deadline being the 2nd of July, a Sunday at midnight, they also are questions, 100 questions with 4 possible answers, of which one is either very relevant or close or the correct answer. So also there, make sure that you know your stuff. Again, do not open that a module casually or casually. Because even if you open it by accident, and then you close by intention because you want to say, no, I was not intending to answer that. The system says on a particular day at a particular time, you open the system to answer questions. And whatever you have done, if it means you have not answered any question, then the machine will automatically award you a 0%. You see, if you have done nothing. Or if you have gotten all your answers incorrect, obviously it will give you 0. You see. So again, I'm repeating, please, please, please do not casually approach answering your assessments. Approach an assessment with intention and after thorough preparation, and with the aim to at least get a 50% pass mark. That's that, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that I have covered to some extent. At the beginning, I said I do not claim or pretend to be able to answer all the questions. After all, there's no question now, but I was just giving a picture of our program, how it is run. And then, yeah, we will be speaking on a date that you are notified about. And then this time you will be, I hope we'll be having a number, if not all of our administrators on the line, and then a number of them. And then, yeah, that will be a proper question and answer session. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Again, let me emphasize, this week we are mainly like rounding up our registration. As I said earlier on, the LSSA has given this school the mandate to still accommodate those people who, for genuine reasons, could not be absorbed by the attendance schools, even though they have registered and paid in full. Secondly, on our side also, like even today, there was still 1 or 2 calls of those people who say, I've paid in good time, but as I'm speaking, I see I am not registered. So our system, with its glitches of load shedding and the system itself, ICT systems, ladies and gentlemen, are quite a challenge, a handful at it. From the end of last year, November, December, we didn't have too much joy with the performance of our ICT systems. Information and communication technology systems are giving us a big headache, but we're trying our best in the circumstances. And we say, please, please, please understand that we are trying to do our best. We will, as I'm saying, be talking. There will be intermittent MS Team meetings between the students and the school, with the aim to try and establish this easy flowing communication between the stakeholders in this case being us, the administrators, and you, the trainees, so that ultimately you have an easy flowing 6 months. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this by warning you that time management is of crucial importance. Space your times of answering assessments, and obviously we have imposed on you dates on which you are going to write examinations. And then, yes, space your time to say by end of February, for example, I should have answered. I think it's doable, but I'm not imposing anything on you. by the end of Feb next month, I should have answered all my standalone modules. You see, your numeracy skills, your e-commerce, your finances, your forms of business enterprises, your customary law, your cyber law and stuff like that, your PICs of this world. I think it's doable. And then you are left with multiple choice questions. You divide them into, I think there are about 12, 4, 4, 4. And then you see, we have the months there. You have March, April, May. You are done with, if I were you, I would say that. By May, end of May, I'm done with all the assessments. In the meantime, we are left with only 3 students. You shall have written, I think, end of May. Yeah, by then we shall have written all the summative or main examinations. So it could be done, subject to proper time management. I'm emphasizing it, time management. We will also be talking about, ladies and gentlemen, not today, but about how to handle an online examination. Many of you are graduates from UNISA. You have been examined professionally and proficiently online. So our examinations, yes, they are also online. You answer an examination online, you submit your answer sheet online, and you are marked electronically. And then please, you are marked electronically, underline that. It is that machine that counts your marks, because that machine uses a set system. So in terms of counting the marks, the ticks and what have you, rest assured, the machine will never go wrong. It's automated. So it has been instructed, and that instructions is strict to this machine. It's not human. You see, the human eye will only put a particular tick on an answer. But as to the calculation of those ticks and how, to what value of marks they amount, it is not a human decision. It's the machine that says this tick or this shape represents 1 mark. This other one represents half a mark. The total of all this is this mark. So there is no "we was robbed" in e-marking, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing like that. Yeah. So yeah, that is all that I want to say now. Again, welcome to our group, to the semester. You are a group of, as I said, this time around 320 something students, and we are still counting. Give us, please, until the end of next week to say we have this number for our semester. Thank you, and thank you again. Bye-bye. Till we meet, I think on the 25th of January. Bye-bye.